Have you ever been heartbroken before?
I think, yeah, I've been in relationships that have hurt, that have really sucked. Like people have done some really awful things that were blindsiding and painful to work through, but also, again, like grief. I mean, I don't have a relationship with my parents, and that still hurts, you know? Like every Mother's Day, every Father's Day, it's weird. It hurts. Like their birthdays come by, it's painful. Like, to see other people, for example, like if they're in a happy relationship and you want a relationship, or they have a great relationship with their family and you really want that, but I don't have that. So, like that hurts. And then of course, like just the complete devastation that comes with actually like losing somebody that you loved so deeply.
Today's guest is Riley Gruppo, one of the first women to lead in the United States Army Infantry, a captain who commanded soldiers, taught future officers, and served nearly 8 years in uniform. While Riley was still in command, the person who raised her, her grandmother, passed away. The mission consumed the space where that grief should have lived. After the uniform came off, the rank went with it. The structure went with it. Riley was standing in a life that had to be built from scratch. The corporate world came next. Program management in aerospace. That chapter was short. Riley transitioned from that too. Doctors diagnosed PTSD. They said it would get worse. Riley looked at that diagnosis and said, "That is not the end of my story." In October 2025, Riley founded Riley Avelina LLC and launched this standard, a human performance framework built on three pillars: mind, body, and mission. Today, this woman works with veterans, executives, and founders who are rebuilding from the inside out. People do not rise to the occasion, they fall to their standards. Today, we are talking about overcoming adversity. Welcome, Riley Gruppo, to the Memoirs to Millions podcast. We choose to be busy or bored.
Yeah,
Which one do you choose to be, you know?
always busy.
It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. Some people like, I got money and I got time and I'm bored. How is
Hmm.
that possible?
Hmm. Yeah, what is bored? I don't know.
That's that's like a lack of imagination. You got everything you need and you're still bored. How you doing today? Let me ask that question.
Good, good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. We just got the hit of the northern warmth,
Oh, yay.
and I'm like, man, I've been waiting on this heat because I like when it's hot. I don't know if you like when it's hot, but I like when it's
Oh,
hot.
yes. I'm in Southern California. Absolutely. I'm a reptile. But I'm glad you're getting some sun. It's warm here too. It's warmer. 80s, I
uh,
think, this week. Yeah.
a reptile. I never heard that one before, but
Listen, I that is the conclusion I've come to. I was in Colorado recently and it was cold. I'm like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I need
mm,
sun.
yeah, yeah. Huh, interesting. Mm. So you ready for this conversation?
I am ready when you are, sir.
Well, if you wasn't here, you wouldn't be ready. So if you're here, that means you're ready.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna open up with just I have a little script for the opening, just get the thing set up, and then from there we just gonna chat. Cool.
Hmm.
Alrighty. Let me get my script. Oh. Today I'm in conversation with another veteran like myself, Riley Grouper. Our theme today is overcoming adversity. If you're watching this right now, you are probably in one of two places. You're either going through adversity or you have already overcome some. Either way, this conversation is for you. Riley and I are going to share what adversity has looked like in our own corner of the universe. We would love for you to sit with us, listen in, and bring your own thoughts to it. I want to open with an analogy I learned from Roy Sutherland. He used it in one of his talks, and the moment I heard it, I knew it belonged in a conversation like this one. It is called a paceometer. I'm going to share with you what that paceometer look like so you can kind of see it and just kind of share your thoughts on that once I finish here, what the paceometer looks like. I thought it was something interesting to look at, but I'm putting it on screen here real quick too. Um, But a regular speedometer measures speed, miles per hour, how fast you're going. A paceometer flips the question. It measures time per distance, minutes per 10 miles, how long it actually takes you to get there. Here's what the math shows. Once you are already moving, going faster than once you are already moving, going faster barely saves time. Going from 20 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour saves you 10 minutes per 10 miles. Going from 70 miles per hour to 80 miles per hour saves you about 1 minute per 10 miles. You think you are gaining ground, you are burning energy for nothing. Adversity works the same way. We think the answer is to speed up, push through, hit the gas. The right pace at the right time is what helps you actually arrive. So, for question for you, Riley, as we open up this conversation, when you see this paceometer and you think about how you move through your own life, what comes to mind for you right
I'm probably getting a speeding ticket.
now?
Um, and then the engine breaks and then I can't go anywhere for a day or two.
mm, mm.
So, yeah, that's probably an accurate description.
Getting a speeding ticket. So
I
let me ask you this: have you been in a car accident before?
haven't, thank God. I mean, like maybe a minor, like literally scratching the paint off of another car, but nothing
Mm,
major, thank God.
nothing major. Uh, let me. Okay. So what about on a bicycle? Have you ever can you ride a bicycle?
I can ride a bicycle.
Oh yeah, nice, nice, nice. You do like
Yeah.
mountain biking, road biking. What are your expertise in?
Nothing really. I mean, other than childhood, I had a like a it wasn't motorized, but like a dirt bike or a mountain bike. But yeah, it's not. I mean, what I do now with bicycle is stationary cycle class, kind of like Soul
Mm-hmm.
Cycle. Um,
Mm,
but that's about it. So
that's about
no
it.
no biking accidents, nothing like that.
Mm.
Thank God.
Oh, you're very fortunate, by the way, because I remember when
Yeah.
I grew up in Jamaica, and I remember the first time I started riding a bicycle. And man, I was so happy because like my parents couldn't afford a bicycle, but my friends had a bicycle. So then I would start learning to ride, and then after a while, because Jamaica has a lot of hills too, so that means you be flying down here and you hit the corner and you go around. There's a car and you're like out of like you gotta take it off, off the road, some of that stuff. But I had a lot of accident growing up as a kid. I don't know if you have a lot of accident growing up as a kid or not, but I did.
Not that I can remember, but oh my goodness. Why?
Yeah.
Were you
Well,
just prone to accidents or
I mean, 'cause I like the adrenaline. So this is something I learned about myself. It's later in life, but I learned that when things are chaotic, my brain slow down, my mind slow down. So
Mm.
when we opened the conversation about boredom, when I'm bored, my mind runs. So I need a challenge, or I need to be in chaos. I need some kind of adversity for me to slow my mind down, for me to think more clearly. So you might notice the other people. Some people just like they like the chaos because they got this speed, the storm in their mind. It slows down when they can focus on something specific because it's challenging. I don't know if you had that
hmm
feeling like that before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I thrive in chaos, but I attribute that to,
Mm.
I don't know, my military service and upbringing. So maybe that's why, maybe not. But yeah, if it's chaos, let's go. let's uh let's make some organized chaos. But yeah, I tend to, not that I like it, especially personally, like a personally chaotic life, no thank you. But when things are moving quickly in a high pressure environment, let's say business for example, I like that. I don't like it when
Mm.
things move slow.
Mm. Well, tell me your thoughts on this question. What is the hardest thing you've ever done physically, mentally, or psychologically?
Wow. I've thought about this a lot. And a couple situations come to mind. I think I have two examples because I do think about this often. Like, especially there was something. Okay, maybe this sounds cheesy, but at one point I was really inspired by David Goggins, and I read his book, and there was a line in there that really stuck with me because he's done some hard shit. Like he
Mhm,
has lived a hard life,
mhm,
and there was something in there. He says. to the effect of like, don't forget the cookies in your cookie jar. So when you're doubting yourself and you're fearful, it's like, don't forget what you've already overcome, what you've already
Hmm.
accomplished in your life. And so I think back on that when I'm having a moment of doubt or fear, and I'm like, wait a second, I've done some hard stuff. Like, this is
Hmm.
okay. It's gonna be fine. Um, but I think for me, physically, hmm, I want to say my military training. Um, but even that, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe physically that was the hardest thing I'd ever done.
Hmm.
Um, maybe the trucking for miles and being in the woods and
Hmm.
kind of surviving in that way for a week and then going back and doing it the next week or whatever, just doing that for a long period of time. I think that can be pretty physically demanding. Um, Emotionally, mentally, psychologically, I think, losing someone that means something like a very deep personal relationship and losing that person unexpectedly, that was really tough. But then also forget, like, all the physical stuff, forget, like, I was in combat sports, like, I did powerlifting, like, all these really physically demanding like, cross country, that's hard too physically. But it's like going through therapy and actually taking the time to self-reflect and have that awareness of, like, connecting the dots. "Oh, I'm acting this way because of what happened to me in this situation," or similar, and then making a conscious effort to undo that and rewire your brain. It takes time and it's painful. So, I would say the self like, inner work that I've done coupled with grief is, probably more challenging than anything physically that I've ever done. Mhm.
As you're sharing that, what pops in my mind right now was heartbreak. Have
Mhm.
you ever been heartbroken before? Or
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
what was the maybe a heartbreak that was so hard for you that it was so hard to rebound from? Like, have you what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, like, in the romantic sense or, like, in general?
Whichever you feel comfortable sharing. That would have the
Yeah.
most impact.
I think, there's heartbreak with romantic relationships, of course, like, that's why everybody's afraid, for the most part, of being vulnerable and,
Mhm.
you don't the fear of getting hurt, of heartbreak, those hurt. It hurts building a connection with somebody like that and willingly, and and I say that because, for example, your family members, like your parents, most of us build a bond with them, and it's kind of, like, not willingly because we're
Mhm.
children, and we're already bonded with them, already bonded with our biological mothers through birth. But I think, yeah, I've been in relationships that have hurt, that have really sucked, like, people have done some really awful things that were blindsiding, and painful to work through, but also, again, like, grief. I mean, I don't have a relationship with my parents, and that still hurts, you know? Like, every Mother's Day,
Mhm.
every Father's Day, it's weird, it hurts, like, their birthdays come by, it's painful, like, to see other people, for example, like, if they're in a happy relationship and you want a relationship, or they have a great relationship with their family and, you really want that, but I don't have that, so, like, that hurts, and then, of course, like, just the complete devastation that comes with actually, like, losing somebody that you loved so deeply. In this case, for me, it was like a parental figure, my grandmother, and
Mhm.
losing her unexpectedly. I'm not over that, and I don't think I ever will be, because that's how grief works. It's a testament to the love that was and still is. So,
I mean,
yeah.
our theme of this conversation is overcoming adversity. And
Mhm,
sometimes
mhm,
when people think about adversity, they oftentimes think about it's on the external piece of it, like an obstacle, a challenge in front of them, something physical. But some of the hardest one to overcome is the internal one. Like a
mhm.
heartbreak. A heartbreak is like I wouldn't wish that on no one because the heartbreak is like the worst feeling.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That one hit deep. And to overcome something like that, because I mean, heartbreak happened in different, I guess, different way. You can think about heartbreak, but the heart feels a certain kind of pain, and it's very hard to escape that because it doesn't matter where you run, it's with you. Like you can't run far from it. No matter how far you go, it's you still smell like it, right? It follows you. So it's sometimes it's a challenge to overcome that, and it's even very call it genuine to share that I don't have a relationship with my parents, but sometimes I think about it in a certain way. And some
Hmm.
people take that for granted. They still got their parents, or they have a parents that are around and so forth. And so it's like it's hard healing to hear that from you. So what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, overcoming that is one. As I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about what is it like is it 12 steps or something like that with alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
what is it, Alcoholics Anonymous, like
Mm-hmm.
accepting,
Mm-hmm.
acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like they've got it so right. Acceptance, like accepting the fact that this happened and it's totally out of my control. I guess, for example, with my parents, sure, I could try and rekindle a relationship with them. Have I tried that before? Yes. Knowing what a detriment it is to me, or knowing the pros and cons, I guess, if we're looking at it generally speaking, knowing the pros and cons of a certain situation, if I willingly go and put myself back in the situation that I had removed myself from, knowing that it's going to be more painful and more difficult and more of a detriment than to just remove myself from the situation, no matter how painful, like just accepting that that's going to exist and not being surprised by, like, oh my gosh, this is really painful and this sucks and I'm so depressed and I don't know why. That is why. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like it is totally okay. But accepting and looking at, okay, this is out of my control. Like losing my grandmother, totally out of my control. You can't control that. And so
Mm-hmm.
accepting the fact that that is the reality, and then knowing it's okay to be upset. Like it's okay to have emotions. For the longest time, especially, and maybe you can relate to this, like with military training, it's like no emotions. Like you can't take a moment. You can't take a breather because the mission comes first. And so I was still in the military when this happened, and I was in command, which is probably one of the more demanding positions to be in, especially like with a training unit. And it was just very demanding. And I didn't have time to sit and think and kind of feel what I was feeling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I only realized until recently, like, shoot, it is okay. It is absolutely okay to grieve whatever it is that you're grieving, or grieve the loss or the failure or what you thought could have been. It is absolutely okay. In fact, it's probably healthy, like to have that emotional release.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then to our conversation earlier, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Like I I I'm guilty of this. Like part of my coping mechanism would be totally isolate myself, which a lot of people tend to do when they're
Mm-hmm.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
down or negative emotions. And it's like knowing that, recognizing that, like recognizing these behaviors that you might go into as an individual where it feels safe and it feels good, but it might be harmful in the long term. Like, okay, we can bed rot for a day, but that's fine. Like, after the day, we're not doing this anymore, and we're going to get right back to it and be busy and not bored and get to work and be productive. Um, and so all those things coupled together, and then just keeping life in perspective and like having gratitude, having sincere gratitude for the smallest things, the biggest things, like thank you God I woke up today, thank you God I have another breath. um all those things. I mean, there are probably tons of things you can do, but I think those are the most important. And those are what have helped me. So
Mm.
petting dogs.
I am glad you're enjoying the podcast. Before we continue, I have a gift for you. Since 2016, I have read and listened to over 900 books so far. It's going to be 1,000. And I organized them into a library, and I handpicked the top 100 books I recommend to my clients, my friends, and the people in my community. books on storytelling, language, and personal growth, and building something from your own life. If you're watching this podcast and you're looking for your next great read, this library is your gift. It is free. Go to asheralbertwright.com and check out the 1000 book challenge. This is my gift to you. Now back to the conversation. I'm curious. I'm curious about this thought here. Do you think better when you're laying down or when you're standing up? Have you experimented that with yourself
Mm.
to see where your best thought comes to you when you're sitting down, standing up, or when you're laying down? I'm curious.
Hmm. For me, I've never like done an experiment on this or consciously thought about, am I gonna have some better thinking outcomes if I'm laying down or if I'm standing? I tend to stand more. Like even when I eat, I don't have a kitchen table. Like
Hmm.
I stand and eat typically, which I don't know. There's studies that say that's terrible for you, but
The reason why I'm asking
there's
because sometimes when you go into adversity,
mhm.
sometimes when like something hits you really hard, do you like take a seat? Do you lay down
Oh,
on your back? Or do you go for a walk? Like, how do you process the most challenging thing that comes to you each time, whatever adversity comes to you? Where do you think you process that better at?
yeah, I think it definitely depends on the day because
Mm,
like when I got the news of my grandmother, for example, since we're talking about this, I fell to the floor, like not like collapsed all dramatic, but I was like I couldn't stand. Like it was
mm,
just so overwhelming. But there are other times where I'm feeling emotional and there's maybe a conflict or something challenging that I guess my thoughts are racing. It's not as stop you in your tracks. It's more so like I feel like excited about like excitable or anxious or angry even, then I've got to go for a walk and process this and have the silence and have the movement. Whereas something just gut wrenching, not so much. Not so much. Yeah,
it's interesting here. Maybe you should do it. Maybe you should do an experiment on that. Yeah, like
maybe.
yeah. Well personally, I find myself I'm a better thinker on my back.
Okay.
Um, so when I'm like something is really like like poking at me, I gotta lay down on my back and I just lay there and I let it come, and then the ideas come, the solution comes. So I think
Mm,
better laying down. I read better laying down too.
mm.
So it's just different. But yeah, I'll be
Journal. Do you journal?
well, not in a typical writing in a book. I journal on my phone because I have a lot of pads open. So I write. So for example, if I'm out walking and an idea hits me, I stop and write it down. If I'm out there cycling, I remember I used to write and listen to book all the time. When I'm like climbing, I was in Colorado Springs. I just like to ride up Pikes Peak. I used to ride up there and back down, right? So I used to like to cycle, and I get somewhere and I'm going, and a thought hit me. I'm like, it's hard, but I stop and I write it down because I'm always stopping. So I like to write notes because I know what happened once that thought comes, it goes. You're like, man, that was a great thought, but you're not gonna remember it because you just come and
Mm-hmm.
go. So
Mm-hmm.
I do that a lot. What about you?
Yeah, no, same. If there's anything and I don't have like a journal, for example, I'll get back to that, but I'll definitely put it in my phone. A quick note. To
Mm-hmm.
your point,
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right. I love that method. Like, oh gosh, I've got to write this down as soon as possible before it escapes me. But as far as
Mm-hmm.
journaling, like just thinking about your question, if there's something I really need to process as well, and I'm just totally
Mm-hmm.
confused or like, am I crazy for thinking this? And then what I tend to do is one, I'll either write it out, just full stream of conscious thought, done, word
Mm-hmm.
vomit onto the paper because there's something about the pen to paper. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the scientific backing, but something about it helps you process better. But then on the flip side, if it's something where I'm doubting myself, I'm like, no, 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 I know this was the case. Um, I start writing out the facts, like
Mm-hmm.
the logical, unbiased facts as best as I can. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the right decision or not? So I found that really helpful too.
No, that's a very powerful tool, and we're talking about adversity here. So oftentimes, the hardest place to solve a problem is sometime in your own mind.
Hmm.
And so when you start writing it out, it takes it away so you can apply your five senses to it. So when I write something out and I share it or write it out and I look at it with my eyes and look at it again, it's like, oh, that's not what it felt like on the inside. So when you put it, maybe when you make it an object, it's different, and you keep it within you. So I also find that valuable as far as writing my stuff. So from like since I learned that lesson, I start writing a lot because it's so much easier to process clarity when you start writing stuff out because you gotta edit it when you put it on paper. In your mind, it's like all chaos there, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, I have a few thoughts here. I wanna get your spin on this. And the first I'm gonna start with is a thought that says you are what you love, not what you do. So if you look at your life, what is it that you do most of the time when you have time to do nothing? When you hear those words, what comes to mind for you?
What do
I
I
can read it
love
again
to
if you want.
do the most
So,
when I have time to do
so
nothing?
yes.
Yeah, this is a really great question, Asher, because it only dawned on me recently, like in the last 6 months. We as human beings, at least, I don't know, this is my experience, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
relevant for the general population, is we define ourselves by our title or
Mm-hmm.
credentials or what we have people say, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a program manager, blah, blah, blah. But then recently, like somebody asked me that, it's like, what do you do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love to help people. I
Mm-hmm.
love being a dog mom. I love to yap on the internet and overshare and like work out. Like I love all these things. I'm not defined. Like, sure, and I guess I don't know, it kind of dawned on me because I was in a position where, again, getting out of the army, where the army's so black and white. It's so
Mm-hmm.
black and white. You have a rank, it means a certain thing. Like you were saying earlier, like you have a rank, it means a certain thing. You have a position, it means a certain thing. And leaving all that behind is like, who am I? And so I really
Mm-hmm.
had to think about this. And I got into not an argument, but maybe somewhat of a disagreement or a debate, also not knowing much better about the corporate world. One of my last positions, it's like the title that they wanted me to have, because I came on as a consultant and then they wanted me on full time, for
Mm-hmm.
context. And the title that they wanted to give me didn't, like, if we wanted to get technical with it, it did not encompass my duties and responsibilities and what I was actually doing. And so there was a little bit of a debate, and I finally was like, all right, whatever. Who cares about the title? Obviously, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter, but it does. It does to some people. And I guess it was that
Mm-hmm.
point that I realized, I was like, whatever. You gave me this arbitrary title because, well, I don't know, maybe it's easier for you to code in accounting. Who knows? And people are going to treat me a certain way and judge me based off of this title, similarly to how when you're in the military, that's the exact same thing that happens. I mean, that is like the classic example of like who you are, your rank, position, title. That doesn't define the human. So when I say like I love to do all these things, this is what I'm passionate about. It is not in any, like, I could be, you could say I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm, a business owner, like a social media content person, and I could be all those things and they would be right. So when people work so hard for something just to get those, like, that alphabet soup behind their name, or not like degrading any kind of like credentials that somebody has worked hard for, but when that is used as a defining mechanism for who they are as a person at their core, I think that's where life gets kind of difficult, because what happens when you're not in that job anymore? What happens if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a fancy car or a fancy house, or what, I say fancy, but like, some people that is their defining moment. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what happens when you take all that away? Who are you at your core? And I think that's where a lot of people, I don't know, they don't really see it that way. What do you think?
There's a lot of wisdom in what you're sharing right now.
I think so. Thanks.
There, there is because if you fast forward into the future and you get to your 80-year-old self, or whatever age you think gonna be your elderly title, and you look back at all those things that once defined you, you realize that they weren't you really. It was just, if you think about your name, and the reason why we name things is so we can capture it. It's so we can define it. With defining meaning that we can limit it. Because you can't put something inside of you without limitation.
Mm.
So if I can put a name on you, then how can I define you? How can I limit you? So oftentimes we name things for limitation purposes. So I can put
Mhm.
you in a box like you fit right here. Like Asher is this, so I know that's Asher. But if Asher says something else that's undefined, that means Asher can be anything. And sometimes you don't want that to be a person in your life. So definition is important for people to constrain things. So
Mhm.
sometimes I say I'm beyond that, like I'm above that name, or I'm above that gender. I'm beyond gender, I'm beyond name, I'm beyond all the things that you could use to define somebody, because it's a limitation game. So once I
Mhm.
understand that, I understand why people do it. Because if you don't do it, then it drives you crazy. Like, Riley, what should I call you? And well, just call me Riley. What does Riley mean? Okay, let's get into that. What does Riley mean? And you're like, oh, I'm laid out. But at the end of the day, for me to identify you, I need to name you. I need to
Mm.
label you. What are your thoughts?
Yes. No, absolutely. 100%. I mean, I get it. And like I was saying, the military is just a classic example. It's easier to keep track of things,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're in a large organization. And again, like maybe it's for accounting reasons or benefits reasons. Like you have to be coded a certain way. Everybody's just a number. Everybody's just essentially like a
Mm-hmm.
cog in the wheel almost, depending on where, you're working. I know I'm talking about like career sense, but um generally what people don't understand tends to scare
Ooh.
them because they don't
Ooh.
understand it.
And that's why they label it. They give it something. Some people might look at you and call you names because they
Yes.
don't uh, they don't understand it. So they gotta give you either a negative name or whatever, because they are afraid. It scares
That's
them.
all it comes
It's,
down to. I mean, how many
yes.
people have you met that have been like, "Oh my gosh, I never want to live in this state or this country," but they've never been there themselves. Like they've never experienced, "Oh, I would hate to do XYZ for a job," or "I would hate to have kids or be married," or whatever, like insert whatever, and they've never done it themselves. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, how do you know?
How do you know?
Have you been there? Well, no, but I've heard, and it's like, okay. It's like the women in combat arms roles conversation. Like that is such
Mm-hmm.
a hard concept for people to wrap their heads around because for so long women have been oppressed. Like we weren't able to vote. Like we couldn't have jobs. And now you've got
Mm-hmm.
women doing probably one of the most, not the most, but one of the most masculine
Mm-hmm.
jobs in
Mm-hmm.
our nation. And it's like, that's weird. That can't be possible. So it's like when the majority of the evidence says it can't be done, it hasn't been done. People are going to go
Mm.
to the path of least resistance. It's just human nature.
We're like water. The path we follow the path of least resistance. It flows like you just go.
It's
Okay.
true.
I got another one for you. Which you kind of tie it into, like, this one. We already covered this one, but it says, "Do not be defined by your business card, because when your business card changes, you will feel like you are nothing or no one." But that was good talk. But here's the one I want to ask you. So you become successful when you start saying no to things you used to say yes to, and I wonder
Hmm.
what that feels like for you right now when you heard that saying.
Oh my gosh, this is so relevant. And I love that you put this all together in a nice little package too. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
doing that because not everyone does
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's okay. Like, but anyway, it was helpful to read beforehand. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is so relevant actually because
Mm-hmm.
starting off in this like new season of my life, leaving the military, being stripped of all the things that the military gives you, and it
Mm-hmm.
having been basically my entire life, and just the way life works out and the way God works out, just being totally stripped of all that. And ego is now gone. Like I no longer have this, you have to automatically respect me because of what's on my chest, like my
Mm-hmm.
rank. And that doesn't exist in the normal world. And well, most organizations, but that was incredibly humbling. Like losing somebody that deeply matters to you unexpectedly, incredibly humbling. And so it like has really forced me on a path of rapid growth and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And having started, and I'm sure any business owner would tell you starting a business all alone, is you'll see some rapid growth. And then it's funny because I literally just made a post about this today because I was yapping about it yesterday and it was on my mind. I was just reflecting
Yapping
after
about it.
the rapid growth. I mean, I made a little joke of the situation because I like to be, make light of situations, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like therapy. You don't need therapy. Like, just go start a business and be a content creator, and you will, open yourself up to crucifixion by random strangers on the internet. Like, don't worry. That is rapid self growth. And so I was having this thought last night. I was like, huh, like things, and I've been noticing it like over the past, it's been end of October. So what, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, like 7 months now of
Mm-hmm.
rapid growth for me, internally. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, it's really, I mean, for me, an answered prayer, like breaking me from the bad habits that I used to have, or
Mm-hmm.
friend groups or behaviors that no longer align for the person that I am, or I am becoming, or the person that, I strive to be. And I was just thinking about it, I'm like, that it just no longer, like, it doesn't appeal anymore. And you'll find like that is a true test. I read somewhere and I can't remember where. It was probably Instagram, but I don't know, again, like the scientific backing, but it was like the universe will test you one more time with, an old pattern or an old habit,
Mm-hmm.
just to be sure that you have elevated. And I did experience that recently in a big way. Like, I found myself dating somebody and it was fast and furious, and it was a typical relationship that I would have been in years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a second, this is exactly the type of person I would have fallen for years ago. And I'm like, okay, that was the test. We passed. Like, it took me a minute, but we passed. So it'll come back and like test you, like even hanging out with friends. I
Mm-hmm.
like, no judgment. Sorry, my light died. No
Mm-hmm.
judgment whatsoever. It's just redirection. It's like I don't judge them for doing the things that no longer interest me that I've done in the past. Um, and it's like it is no judgment whatsoever. It's just redirection. It's like that just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about the test. The test is it comes around and see whether or not do you want to learn this lesson again, bro. That last time was painful. I got the message, right? Don't. I'm not doing it again. No, not doing
You
it
know what I'm talking about. It's a real
again.
thing.
It's a real thing. Okay,
Yes.
so here's one more for you. Let's say frustration is a feeling of something or someone denying you access to the future. Now, my question for you is the future that you're going after, what you think is the biggest thing that's denying you access to it, that's frustrating you?
Oh, it's me. We are generally, I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to,
Hmm.
and I don't know if it's like more so women than men, because I think as women, and this could be totally wrong, like totally tell me if you've experienced this too, but I think there's a lot of scrutiny, as a woman, like growing up in this society, and I think it's shifting in the right direction, like our culture's shifting, but
Hmm.
you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to wear certain clothes, because problems, no offense, Asher, like that men have, for, let me just give a controversial example, like sexual assault and harassment is
Hmm.
has been, the blame has been put on women. And it's
Hmm.
like, you can't wear this, you can't look this way, you can't talk this way, because this will happen to you, you're asking for it. And it's like, no, that is not my problem. Like, it's a
Hmm.
free country. Like, so, um, that, and anyway, where I was going with this was women were just, I mean, biological clocks. Like, you've got to get married, you got to have kids, or else what, what else are you on this earth for? That is your purpose. But again, the narrative I think is shifting. So
Hmm.
a lot of women that I speak to about this, oftentimes they're like, yeah, I didn't think I would be good at it. Like, I can't
Hmm.
tell you, I've had maybe like a handful of conversations in the past week with women specifically, and they've been like, I don't know, this one lady, she was doing my eyebrows. I'm like, wow, you're really good at this. How'd you get into this? And she goes, honestly, I
Hmm.
didn't think I would be good at it. And my friend like empowered me
Hmm.
to do it. And one of my other girlfriends, she's wanting to start a photography business. And I'm like, girl, go, like, do it. And she's like, I don't know, it's just me in my own way. And oftentimes I see that, like, people I work with, when I help them with coaching and like their career, for example, is typically where I tend to focus is like I unwrap the whole being, and it's like,
Hmm.
why are we stuck? And we look at the big picture, not just positioning on a resume, for example. And oftentimes it's fear, it's doubt. It's going
Hmm.
back to that fear of the unknown. Well, I don't know what this is going to be like, so I'm scared and I don't want to try, and I want to take the path of least resistance because it's familiar. And so for myself personally, it is my own doubts, it is my own fears, it is my own insecurities, my own self criticisms, as I think it is for majority, if not all of the population. Like, we are our biggest barriers. And that's why I said, like, therapy and the internal work, that is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And it is like, it is never ending. As
Hmm.
someone who pursues and strives for growth constantly, like, I never want to be complacent. It is a constant journey. It is a constant learning experience. And it is the most difficult one.
Well, as you was sharing, pops in my head was you mentioned rapid growth earlier, and oftentimes encouraging people to do something is always like find an area that you see the most rapid growth in because you will have so much fun. So if you want to figure out what do I focus my what should I do, whatever area you're gonna find the most growth in, go after that because it feels good to grow. So sometimes when you're
It
doing a job,
does.
it's like I kind of feel like I'm not doing anything. Like my life is not no purpose because there's no growth. If there is growth, I guarantee you're gonna feel like there's purpose. And my advice to anybody is like find something that you're gonna feel the most growth in, and you can find yourself keep doing it. Why? Because you're growing, and that's
Hmm.
there's no better feeling than that.
Exactly. But also on the flip side, Asher, I think there are a lot of people that are okay with complacency because it's
Hmm.
comfortable. I mean,
Hmm.
like, for example, the two corporate jobs I had and left, the people that I worked with pulled me aside, whether it was a private conversation or not. They told me, I wish I could do what you're doing. I want to do what you're doing. And in my head, I'm like, you can absolutely do what I'm doing, but are you
Hmm.
willing to accept the consequences? Probably not. So you like your paycheck, you like your guaranteed, I mean, not, guaranteed loosely, but your paycheck,
Hmm.
your steady paycheck, your health benefits, your same routine. You don't have to move. You don't have a fear of the unknown because it's so scary. But what a beautiful thing that happens in life, excuse me, when you step out in faith and you take the risks. Like, what is that saying, Asher? It's like, fortune favors the bold. No risk, no reward. Like, those
Hmm.
play constantly in my head when I'm fearful and doubting myself. Like, I can try and plan. Believe me, this current season of my life is the most fly by the seat of my pants season I've ever been in. I am a
Hmm.
planner. Like, I like to have control, as we all do. Like, I like to know the outcome. I like to make the odds good. But I've soon, like, realized, and I'm a Christian and I believe in God, and it's like, one, giving it to God and just having faith that it'll work out and being faithful and being a good servant. But more importantly, like, I mean, not more importantly, but equally as important, playing a role in that. And that role is to sit back and do your best, like, do your best work like it
Hmm.
depends on you, but know, and again, I love God, but
Hmm.
knowing that He will provide. And it has, oh my God, literally, like, the beautiful, crazy, incredible, wonderful things that have been happening when I stop focusing on the future, like, stop dwelling on the past. Easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
But man, just to be in the present, like, was it Kung Fu Panda or something? The turtle is like the present is a gift. The past
Yeah.
is I'm paraphrasing, but like the past is in the past. You can't do anything to change it. It's already happened. But the present is a gift, and you
Mhm.
have to receive it and accept it and live in it. And then the future is just you can plan, make calculated risks and decisions, but sometimes you just gotta send it.
Mhm.
Like, you just gotta send it because you can't control that either. You really can't.
I love what you're saying. And both of us serve in the military, and one thing we know about serving and being in the military is that there's something about when you're winning. You don't feel like you're tired when you're winning. Just like when you're growing, it's like I don't feel like I'm tired. Because winning does give you a different feeling. When you're winning, you feel like you don't really get tired. Because you're winning. So you want to be in a position of winning. When you're losing, that's when you feel like I'm drained, I'm stressed out. Because you're losing. So
Hmm.
I'll say find a way to get a winning streak, some momentum, and we can go change it. So I have another one for you here. And you mentioned this too. Well, we can't change your past, but you can change your story about it. And what I would say about this one too is because you mentioned earlier, and truth and fact, right? You can't change the past, but you can change the meaning of the past. What it means
Yeah.
to you. Because when you first experience it, maybe you was 12, 13, 14, 15. But when you go back and visit as a 30-year-old person, you got way more skills now to look at it differently. You could change the meaning of it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. Oh, 100%. I think you said that beautifully. That is such a beautiful, like everything is about perspective, about
Mm-hmm.
shifting your mindset even. Again, this intense light speed growth that I've been experiencing, as I'm sure most people that kind of step out into this type of work and business ownership or just a totally complete 180 for what they're currently doing in life will experience rapid growth, if they do the inner work and the
Mm-hmm.
self-reflection. But yeah, reframing your mind to think of it as like not a failure, but a redirection or a lesson learned or character building. Like, man,
Mm-hmm.
that was a really good character building experience. Like, for the longest time, I was stuck in this victim mentality, which I think a lot of people get caught in. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where it's like all these horrible things happen to me out of my control, maybe somewhat in my control. I don't know. But it's being able to look at those things and say, okay, what was the lesson here? Like, you could lose, you could win, but to your point, it's all about gaining momentum with the small things, and again, having the gratitude in the small things and the small wins.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, I got out of bed today, like, pat myself on the back, like, yes.
You're mobile. You're mobile. Come on.
I exactly, I've got working limbs, like, I've got great eyesight, a roof over my head, all these small things that maybe we tend to take for granted. But like I was stuck in this victim mentality, like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to come and save me. Like, no one's coming to save you. No one is coming to save you. And um, yeah, if I see it a lot, especially since I out myself on the internet, people in the comments oftentimes or DMs even, they're just not nice people. And it's just a reflection of how they have not chosen to step out of that, whether it's a victim mentality, whether it's an insecurity or something about what I'm saying, how I look, what I'm doing, what I've done, triggering a certain person in some way, shape, or form, and them being unable to overcome that mentality, that negative feedback loop that they're stuck in. And it's a conscious effort every single day to wake up and not be like, "Oh my gosh, poor me, woe is me, blah, blah, blah," like, all these things, like, to not dwell on the past anymore. It's like, "Okay, these things happened. Can't change it, but I can
Mm-hmm.
certainly learn from it," and that's just something that I encourage other people to do too, because, for example, like, I have family members that struggle with addiction, and for the longest time, and again, this is my opinion, but it's out there that's like, it's a disease, it's incurable, it's genetic. it's hereditary, all these things. But in my opinion, similarly to somebody who is addicted to working out, addicted to eating food, like addicted to shopping, addicted to substances, those are all just ways to fill a void or numb something, like whether it's a quick dopamine hit or numbing something that they don't want to deal with, they don't want to face. And again, in my opinion, it is an excuse to say, "Oh, it's my alcoholism that I am this way," and feel sorry for me and feel like it again puts somebody back in the space of the victim mentality. And for me personally, I wholeheartedly like, I experienced this because I had professionals and doctors, like, telling me, "Oh, you have letter combination diagnosis, PTSD, like, it's never gonna get better, you're only gonna get worse, like, totally fine if you never work again and you stay in bed all day, and, like, you'd have every excuse in the world," and it's like, "Yeah, but that life does not interest me, and sure, thank you for your diagnosis, but you're not,
Mhm.
the end all be all, right?" So, I think a lot of people just get stuck in maybe what they've been told by a provider or the news or the media or a friend or Google, and they're like, "Oh, I have this thing, and so that means I can't do all these things, and everybody has to go out of their way to appease me or whatever."
This episode is sponsored by Life Changing Wisdom Marketplace, the home for authors who own their stories and their business. Your book, your merch, your audience. One storefront, you keep 80%, you own your customer list. You build a real relationship with the readers. If that sounds like the way you want to run your business, visit lifechangingwisdom.com. This is one quote from Neville Goddard that comes to mind. And he often says, every problem comes with its own solution.
Mhm.
It says, if your problem is sickness, then your solution is health. If your problem is poverty, your solution is what? So you can think of every problem comes with its own solution. That means the solution exists. So every adversity, every problem you can think of, there is a solution out there. You just probably haven't met it yet. So when you was talking, I was like, yeah, know thy enemy.
Mhm.
Because when somebody says you have this thing, now you know what the enemy is.
Mhm.
That enemy has been defeated by somebody already. Maybe you don't know that person that defeated it. That means the solution exists. You just need to find it and apply it. But oftentimes we rather settle knowing that the enemy is in the room with us versus like, I'm gonna do something to get the enemy out the room. So you gotta be adversarial with the enemy in the room. Like you gotta be on the other side of it. But we
Mhm.
don't like to create conflict. We rather sleep with the enemy versus get rid of the enemy. So while you're talking,
Mhm.
that's what comes to mind. Another thing I was gonna say earlier too is like I wrote it down. It says, "Smile wide while you still got teeth." Right? You was talking about the gratitude. So every day I get up, like I still got my teeth, so I'm gonna smile real wide because I still have my teeth.
I
And
love
it
that.
changed a lot of
I'm
things.
gonna
It
write
changed a
that
lot of
down.
things.
That's so
So
good. I wanna
yeah,
write that down on my whiteboard so I can see it. That's
yeah.
great.
Smile wide while you
Ah,
still got teeth.
oh my gosh, I love that. But it's
Mm.
so true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 'cause you never know, like, we aren't guaranteed another day. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's one more for you. It says bad things can happen fast, but almost all good things happen slowly. What comes to mind for you when you hear those words?
interesting. Hmm. Because my initial thought is, I think either one can happen fast or slowly. Um, yeah, because I mean, your life can change in a matter of hours. It can change in a matter of minutes. It could change overnight, good or bad. Um, I don't know. Where does that quote come from?
Oh man, I think it comes from. I'm about to pull it up eventually. Probably not right now. I can't remember exactly. One of those founders, I forget. I was looking it up. That's a good question. I gotta come back to that one. We gotta find that one.
Yeah.
If
And
anybody know
and
it, drop it in the comment section if you remember who that quote come from. But yeah, bad things can happen fast, but all good things happen slowly. I would say David Ogilvy, but I don't remember exactly. I
are
don't
we
remember exactly.
live?
Yes. No, we're not live. We're just recording. But when somebody sees this, they're gonna like, that's what it comes from. So we can read in the comments.
Okay. Well, I was just on a
Yeah.
podcast recently and it was live, but people were
Uh-huh.
able to comment in
Uh-huh.
real time, so that's why I asked. But another thought that comes to mind, sorry, I'm totally fine if we are, but is bad things happen fast and good things happen slowly. I think if the good thing happens to be something that we've been praying for or waiting on or
Mhm,
working toward, then it feels like forever, feels like an eternity for that
mhm,
thing to finally happen. And whereas the bad thing, it's like, oh my gosh, it just, yeah. I think it just depends. If you focus on all the bad things, you're going to see all the bad things. If you focus on all the good things, you're going to see all the good things. Like, I
mm,
think either one can happen fast or slow. And there's something I started doing recently, Asher. One of my girlfriends encouraged me to do it. And also this book that I've been reading about like how to pray properly and making impactful prayers and things like that. And I'm fairly
mhm,
new, like in my journey, getting to know God and getting close with God. And something, one of my girlfriends, she's just an incredible human being. I consider her like my spiritual advisor.
mm.
um, but anyway, no, I'll ask her questions all the time, or I'll tell her things related to my faith. And she encouraged me. She's just like, write down like your this revelation moment that you had, because I really did have an epiphany type of moment where I felt it was God directly like speaking to me in a way that I've never really felt before when I quit my job. I'll tell you this story if you want to hear it. um,
I'm here.
long story short, another good friend of mine who I consider a mentor at this point, but similar like benevolent spirit in the veteran space. Helping people like me and you through life, basically. And we had a conversation, and it was just something I had been thinking about for months. Like, again, uncharted territory, facing the unknown, fear of the unknown, and having not really liking or liked the idea of quitting, because then I'm a quitter. But I've since learned and changed that mindset that it's like, it's not quit. Like, the sooner something is not for you, get out. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just wasting bandwidth. Again, like looking back, I guess, on the past now, that past bad thing or mistake or whatever you want to call it, which was me quitting my job with no notice, which was something I feel bad about still, but it's also like, anyway, and what led to that decision was I was having this conversation with him the night before I decided to go in, and I was praying to God the morning of, and this was like 5 in the morning, and I had woken up, and I'm like, please, just like a golden fleece moment, if you've heard of that, where in the Bible there's a story about the golden fleece, and I forgot which one of it's like Moses or Abraham. I'm totally butchering it, but he puts out the golden fleece and he's like, God, if you're real, like leave no dew on this fleece or something. I'm probably totally butchering the story, but it's like basically like, God, if you want this thing to happen, if you want me to do this thing, please just show me, like tell me anything, like make it very clear. And
Mhm.
sure enough, I received a text from my friend at 5 in the morning.
You got a
And he's like,
sign.
you got this. He's like, no looking back, basically, like words of encouragement. He's like, you got this. I said, all right, done. Walked into the office. Like, listen, I'm not working here anymore, basically. So, yeah. So, again, like how life can change so rapidly. And ever since, again, like no plan, all I knew
Mhm.
is I want to help people. I don't know how that's going to happen exactly, but just having that faith and taking that risk. So many
Mm,
incredible things have been happening.
mm. And we can wrap that little maxim into relationship, right? Because bad relationship happen fast, but good one takes a long time to happen. And when you think about the thing that last, or the thing that feel great, are the things that cost you something over time. And those are the things that we normally celebrate. It's the thing that costs us something over time. So when
Hmm.
I thought about that quote, that's kind of something you can wrap it into a relationship too.
Hmm.
I have another one for you.
Let's go.
Let's go. It says pros are professionals. Pros make as many mistakes as amateurs. They just learn how to gracefully recover from their mistakes. And we're talking about adversity here, and like life is not gonna be the absence of adversity. It's gonna be the presence of it all the time. You just gotta figure out how do you recover from it. So when you think about some of your biggest mistakes, the one that you recover from, what would you say those ones that make you the person you are today? If you gotta share top two.
Hmm. I think for me, I've made such a conscious effort to not dwell
Mm,
on things that are in the past, I guess, mistakes that I've made when people have wronged me. Like, to your point, life throws you curveballs and you don't know when they're going to happen. And you can plan as much as you want, but
mhm,
so many things happen that are out of our control. I mean, some most things are out of our control. And the only thing you can really control is you, right? And like your mindset. And so when I think about mistakes that I've made, like one that comes to mind was the way I left. I guess there's a pattern here. Like the way I left my position in the army.
mhm,
I, up until probably recently, have thought about it a lot, have dwelled on it, thought I could have done a better job, like as a leader, or the way that I left. Because I really didn't speak to anybody. I just kind of said bye. Uh,
mm,
and that was, you know, for my own personal reasons, but I look back and I mean, I could beat myself up every day about I could have done a better job, but again, it's like you can't dwell on the past. And oftentimes, like, we do the best we can with what we have, whether that's like how we were brought up, how we were raised, and that's all we know, or the circumstances that we're in the moment. Um, yeah. And I think of like maybe staying in a relationship too long that wasn't good. Um, Again, it's like hindsight is 2020. Like you can see so much clearer when you're removed from the situation and you have time to reflect on it and think back. But when you're in it, it's much more complex and difficult than just I clearly see what I need to be doing better right now or where I'm going wrong or whatever the situation is. It's much more difficult to see when your judgment, I guess, is clouded by all the other things going on. Or for a relationship like love, for example, you throw love in there, things get much more complicated. And it's like, well, this person was clearly abusing you for however long. And it's like, well, didn't know.
mhm,
So stuff like that, I think, yeah, like, oh my gosh, this conversation I had, could I have said things differently? Of course. Could I have said something better? Of course. But you can't dwell on it. And if a mistake has been made and like you quote unquote did something wrong, going like trying to rectify the situation if you can, I think is always like the best thing to do. I mean, I've tried to do that, but oftentimes it's like either, you know, not received well or is received well. I mean, it just depends where the person's at too, or the organization or whatever it is. Like I could go back and apologize to the organization that I left them hanging high and dry because in my mind, that's how it felt at the time. But looking back, I'm like, no, they'll be fine. They're okay. So again, it's like all about perspective, and not dwelling on the past. Um, but yeah, again, like if I've made an apparent mistake, um, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. But there's no need and no like, okay, yes, I was wrong. How do we rectify? You know what I mean? Instead of beating myself up for something that either the person doesn't want to accept the apology and give forgiveness or whatever the case is and can't move on, then I mean, again, like, you can only control you, so it's like, no sense in beating yourself up over it, you know? I don't know, is that
There's
crazy?
there's another way to look at this. Let's wrap here. There's another way to look at this
Alright.
because you said you beat up on yourself, or no sense in dwelling on the past or beating up on yourself. But I think you've done something rich for yourself that you might be overlooking when it comes to looking back. Because a lot of people don't reflect.
Mm,
They're trying to bury their history, but your history is your intellectual property.
yeah.
And if you don't go back and make meaning of it, because in like you say, inside of it, you might not see the meaning of it. Most time you don't. Meaning come from, let's say, 2020 hindsight, right? That's where meaning comes from. So how do I take my experience of being in an organization? Because I did it when I remember when I first I was in Hawaii. I was stationed in Hawaii at the time too, and I came out of command position as well, and I went to Cuba, and I was there for like a year because I got this little Gitmo tour. I'm like, I'm taking it because I'm like going back. I'm going to Cuba. Cuba's like right up the like north of Jamaica. I'm like, I'm gonna hang out in tropics again. But I spent a lot of time reflecting. But this time I was like, how can I make better judgment, better decision? Like, how can I be more supportive of my organization, my leaders? Because I was, I was, I was pushing. Like, I'm very confrontational sometimes. But I was like, I could have done a better job. But we are gonna say that if we want to grow, if we like, I could have not have done better, then maybe that's okay too. But I felt like I can always do better.
Mhm.
I can always do better. And when you look back at you just say, I just gotta make better meaning of it. So what is it? The story I'm gonna tell myself, what I learned from the situation, what I'm gonna do better for the next situation, because there's gonna be another time coming around. And if you haven't changed any of your time looking back, you're gonna do the same thing again. I guarantee you. You're gonna
Yes.
repeat the same thing because that's all you. That's like your instinct to go back to what you know. But if you like, next time this comes around, I'm gonna swing the bat this way, because I'm planning for that ball to hit to throw at me again. I know it's coming, but I have a plan for it. But if you don't, you're gonna swing the same way you swing before. So it's just I
Mhm.
think it's a healthy thing to look back and reflect and like, all right, I did it this way. I could have done better, but next
Yeah.
time I will. And
Mhm.
the other thing, I heard this quote. I'm a butcher it, but it's the idea that an organization can do without a say. There's no difference between a good leader and a bad leader in an organization, because the organization can do it without them. Meaning
Mm.
that if you're a great leader and you leave the organization, you do great because you train them well. If you're a bad leader, you leave the organization, they're gonna do great because they're glad for you to be gone, right? So you just gotta think about it in the same aspect. Great leader, bad leader, same impact on the organization. Organization gonna do great without them, or do great because they was there.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
No, yeah, and it goes back to that saying too, something like you can learn just as much from a good leader as a bad leader. Like that, okay, I don't want to emulate that. I don't want to be like that versus I do want to like take the good and the bad
Mm-hmm.
from both. But yeah, I mean, it just all comes back down to perspective, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I personally I have a tendency to feel guilty about everything because of like how I was brought up. I'm so serious and like, oh shoot. I said I didn't say hi to somebody that I was passing. Oh my gosh. I hope they're
Mm.
not mad at me, like or these comments that I receive online and I'm like, oh shoot, did I do that? Is that really who I am? Like these heinous comments that people leave, like pretending to know me or something. And I sit there and I'm like, feeling bad about it. I'm like, shoot, what did I do? How can I, make this better? And then remembering it's like, one, not gonna please everybody. I mean, if you're pleasing everybody, you're not standing for anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it really comes down to perspective with everything.
I think that's your word of the day for this conversation
Yes.
is perspective. It's awesome because it is. We're gonna wrap up. I think this has been a great conversation so far. We have a few questions that
Thank
I
you.
want to ask you before we wrap up. Question number one here: if you could share with us a TV show or film you have found yourself returning to lately.
I don't want to tell you.
You don't want to tell. You gotta tell. You gotta tell. Can't keep no secret. No, you gotta tell.
I'll tell you. All right. One of my guilty pleasures. I guess I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I'll tell you. I love 90 Day Fiance. I love that show. I am not one to sit and watch a movie by myself or very often at all. I don't know. I've never really like somebody's like, "What's your favorite movie?" And I'm like, don't really know. Or you know this actor or actress? Like, not really. So just that's a little bit of context. I'm not I'm not well versed in pop culture to begin with, but I do love at the end of like a long day to just basically shut my brain off and just love the drama that ensues and unravels a 90 Day Fiance. It's just so good. Um, but recently, this was in like the last 2 days, I don't know if it's a newer show or maybe a new episode came out. It's something about like Crazy Ex or like something like that on Netflix, talking about a crazy ex. And it just so happened that this guy that they were featuring was also on 90 Day Fiance. So like why did they cast him when he was pending crime, pending criminal charges? But they did. And so he did the show, but then ended up serving like 18 years in prison or something like that. It's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, the combination of those two, that was pretty good. I wish I could remember the name, just like something like Crazy X or something. Is very interesting.
Well, I see why you hesitated to share that one. And okay.
Why?
She's like, 90 Day Fiance's got all this drama.
All credibility out the window. No.
She's human. She's human. She's human. Okay, number two here. So, three books you would recommend to a friend right now.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Let's see. I am one for nonfiction. So I
Mm.
love learning when I read. The three books, if I could recommend to somebody, one would be I just absolutely love The Perspective, buzzword.
The
That
perspective. That's
The
the name of it.
Perspective. No, it's called The Perspective That It Gives, though. Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's like
Oh, okay. Reach that for it.
classic, but I read that when I
I
was
think
in my
Robert
early,
Kiyosaki. That's his name.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, early
Hmm.
early 20s. And whether you're into real estate or not, it helps you see like the way he sets up the story with his two dads, even though one
Hmm.
is really his biological dad and the other is his friend's dad. It's just the what do they call it? Like the contrast between the two
Hmm.
lives.
Hmm.
Um is just incredible. It really helps open your eyes to things. Because you could follow the norm, the standard, get a typical job, like work your way up in that position or career field, but then still be so I don't know if unhappy was the right word to describe it, but unfulfilled maybe, and even in debt, and as he mentioned, whereas you can just not even graduate high school and build this beautiful life and be successful. So seeing those two stark like contrast in lives explained so well, I think was really good. And then the devotional that I read and have been reading is wow, what's it called? Circle Maker. Is it the circle?
Circle
No,
maker.
draw the circle. I'm sorry. I'm also reading Circle Maker, but
Hmm.
Draw the Circle is the daily devotional. And again, I mean, if you're
Mm.
religious or not, still incredible lessons, help put things in perspective, like just incredible. And then another one that I would recommend that's like an easier read. You can open it up and each page is like something new. But it helps with self-reflection and grace. A Gentle Reminder is what the book is
Mm.
called. And it's really a gentle reminder.
Yeah.
Every
Is it
page.
it is do you remember the author's name for a gentle reminder, or you have the name?
I don't, but I can grab it really quick if you'd like. Here.
Okay.
I also have my favorite books are in my I think I'm gonna highlight my Instagram story, but I love reading. Um, but I've got I'll just grab this. Um, there's another one I like to reread too. Again, these are all like good. perspective keepers. It's called How to Make Shit Happen, and it's a short read, like this one, short.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it helps you remember, like, this guy goes through the trenches, Sean Whalen. He goes through the trenches, he loses everything. He had a successful multi-million-dollar business or whatever, loses everything, and he's just human about it. And he like shares what helped him and his principles. So anyway, this one, I really like this one. This was a gift to
What's
me,
the name of it?
actually. A gentle reminder.
A Gentle Reminder. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the author name?
Bianca Sparacino.
Okay.
I don't
So
know if I
so
said that.
okay, so that's number two. What's number three?
That so
We got
one the
Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Gentle
yeah,
Reminder, and what
yeah,
was the other one?
and the other one was Draw the
Draw the Circle.
Circle. And the sequel is Circle Maker, but Draw the Circle. Again, easy read, easy daily
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's like each page is a new devotional practically, but like see this for example, there's just gentle reminders like no person is sent to you by accident.
Mm-hmm. I like
Thought
it,
provoking.
Riley.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this
Okay.
trilogy is really good too. You got me nerding out now, but Young Pueblo, he's a great author. Anyway.
Good to know that you a reader and a writer. That's good. Okay. Number three here, a product or tool you have been using that has been a game changer for you.
Game
A
changer.
product or a tool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, recently, well, Claude, AI, game changer. And then a product I've been using is AG1. They're greens every morning, empty stomach, first thing in the morning. Game changer for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm. Cloud and eating product. Okay, last one. A community you have been finding real value in, the one that helped you get to where you are.
That's a great question. I guess we could call this a community. This nonprofit organization I've been working with, recently did a study as part of the ski program we were talking about. The
Mm,
pilot study that was conducted in, was it March? End of March. And I mean, that whole thing and the work they're doing it's been life changing. It's been incredibly life changing. And again, all benevolent people. It's a win-win for everybody involved. And it's just like so fulfilling to be a part of that and then also be able to speak on, what has helped me, and hopefully
mhm.
push their mission forward.
Does the program have an official name yet?
Yeah, Aspen Elevation Institute.
Mm, okay.
Hmm.
Nice, nice. Great. All right. Got one more wrap up. Okay. If the Paceometer showed you how long it is taking you to reach the version of yourself you want to be, what would it say right now?
I think I would say, I don't know. Because I feel like I have had so many answered prayers over the years, and the person I was a year ago, 2 years ago, I don't think would have been able to conceptualize the person I am today. So it's
Mm,
almost like I could say, yeah, I want to be this person. I have this idea of this person that I want to be, and I feel like I'm 80% there.
mhm,
But then it's open-ended, I think, because I couldn't even fathom like who I am today and what I'm doing today. I just couldn't even fathom a year ago, so 6, 7 months ago. Like, so I feel like that, I don't know, like you can write out who you are and who you want to be, and it just it's an open-ended thing, I think, with continuous growth and improvement.
mm.
So I
Right.
think it'll be
This
stuck at like 80%
hopefully
perpetually.
hopefully not 80 miles an hour.
Well, maybe.
Well,
Perhaps.
yeah. Riley, this has been a fun conversation, my friend. This has been enlightening
Thank
on
you.
this side of the videos. So hopefully the
Same.
folks that listen to us today really enjoy hearing you share about what comes to mind for you when ideas hit you. You
Thank
swing
you.
back your swing back was powerful. Let's say that. Any last word
It took
before we close
time.
out?
It did not happen overnight.
No.
But yeah, yeah, recognizing when things no longer serve you and being able to just move on from that and have a good perspective, focus on the positive and not dwell on the past, I think is one of the most important things you can do.
Okay. Last question. What is your biggest takeaway from this awesome chat we just had just now?
I would have to say my biggest takeaway, I think that the theme of the conversation, I guess going back to our buzzword of the day, like just keeping things in perspective
Hmm.
really changes everything. You could call something a failure, you could call it a redirection, you could call it a loss, or you could call it a lesson learned or character building or whatever. Like just keeping that in the back of your mind, like that mindset shift, reframing your thoughts to gear toward positive.
Hmm.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. Easier said than
Yeah.
done. All right, Riley, it was great chatting with you.
Great
Make it a
chatting with you.
utterly fantastic day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to yap with me.